Last week, we recapped 50 years of blockbusters, and today we're challenging you to become the main character of your own story.
That's right, the power of your narrative. So join us today on the Wandering But Not Lost podcast.
And now your host, Jen O'Brien and Matt Emerson.
Well, welcome back to the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where we wander with intention and align with clarity. This is episodes 371, and you can find all those show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. Today, we're going to be diving into a powerful truth. Your life is a story. And, you know, we all know that. We all know we're living our own little movie there. But at the same time, we can really step away from that a lot of times and don't think about actually how you can kind of create your own story and change your story as you go. So you are the main character of that story too, and you have full rights over what your character does or does not do, which I think is the kind of coolest part about what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I don't mean you're the main character in a narcissistic way, of course, but, you know, that everyone, you know, that kind of look at me, everyone look at me kind of way. I'm talking about taking back the pen so you can actually do something to change the direction that you're going. You know, if you want to change your direction, you know, if you've been following us for the last 10 years, you might be on the right path. Who knows, right? I'm just saying. So, but too often we're living out chapters of someone else's outline. And I think that is so cool to think about, you know. Think about that, even like in your job a lot of times. Actually, I should stop riffing because I'm just giving away stuff we're going to be talking about. So I'm just going to just stop doing that. You know, those scripts a lot of times are built on expectations. They're built on fear, or sometimes they're built on past version of what no longer fits into the way we are and how we've evolved, you know, emotionally and mentally. So today we're going to talk about reclaiming your narrative. We're going to talk about rewriting old stories that are holding you back, and fully stepping into your main character energy, because your story matters and you're way more ready than you think.
Exactly. So let's start with something simple and radical. You are the author of your life. I absolutely love the metaphor we're using today.
Yep.
Piggybacking off of all those blockbusters, because it's a really incredible way. If you realize that you can when you decide that you get that you create what your story is, that's where the freedom comes. So many of us are caught up in the story, our own story, and we can't seem to get out of it, right? You're not just reacting to life, you're shaping it with all the decisions, every thought, every belief, every action step that you decide to take. You're writing the plot, you're designing the character arcs, you're choosing how it all unfolds. When you get that, wow, then here's the scary part. When you do get that, you're like, whoa, I have to take responsibility for that, right? Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. Many of us are living out of a story that was written for us, a hand-me-down, if you will, right? A plot line that you didn't really create, maybe was influenced by other things that you found to be important in your life. Something based on what you were told, what you should do, what you should be like. So ask yourself, is this still your story, where you are right now? And here's a great journal prompt to help you reflect on that. What chapter of my story am I in right now? Am I in the rising action? Am I at the crossroads? Am I in the comeback? What is it? Whatever the chapter is, part of your story, your evolution, and you always have the power to turn the page.
That's really cool. Let's talk about rewriting the script. I have a story that I actually didn't share with Jan last week. I'm going to share this story now. This was a really weird thing. I got a Facebook message from somebody from high school who I had not talked to in 45 years. And not someone that was really a close friend, someone that I didn't really talk to all that much. And she commented, she kind of texted to kind of call me out.
Really?
After 45 years.
Really?
It's a little weird.
Call you out on what?
Well, being mean.
Really?
Yeah, it was really kind of fascinating. And she said,
your sarcastic humor?
Well, a whole lot of different. It wasn't a long text, but it was very to the point. Mm-hmm. And she had commented that, I found you online and what you're doing now. It didn't connect with the way I remember you from in school.
Wow.
It was really weird. I have to tell you, it really, it didn't bother me in a sense, but it did. It really, I thought about it a lot ever since then. And it's so interesting because you have to remember this. First of all, it was 45 years ago, and, people do tend to kind of morph in their life, And no, when I was in high school, I wasn't doing breathing exercises and talking about, being aligned, because I don't know anyone that's aligned in high school. But that's not the point. Apparently, I had done something to her, whatever it was, that was not taken well. And I got right back to her. It was like 7:00 in the morning. I'm like, I am so sorry. I said, if I did anything, well, first of all, I said 45. This is a disturbing email decades later. I said, but if I did anything at all that was mean or cruel to you, I apologize sincerely, because I don't remember what that was, but also, people change and people grow into themselves, and they grow into, who they're going to be. So when we talk about rewriting the script, it's not because you're rewriting it in a way that, just to make everything look better. Mm-hmm. No, you're rewriting it because you can gain more clarity yourself, or you can go farther yourself, or you can actually achieve what you really want to achieve. So, we're not trying to ignore the past. We're just trying to help you find a better future.
Well, wait, you can't move on until you solve that. Did you get a response?
No, and I don't think I will. I think literally she just wanted to call me out.
Well, and honestly, that was
her closure.
It's so powerful that happened, that you brought that up, because in my thinking, first of all, I've known you a long time, and I don't know any mean.
Well, that's the whole thing. That was a long time ago.
But things can be said in that age where, like, I have memories of things that somebody said to me that they didn't mean, but I held on to. So you allowed her to see the change in you. She felt so compelled that she had to call, which did bring closure, but it also maybe helps you realize that, wow, you can't take things for granted, or you don't know how you're impacting other people.
Totally. It couldn't have been a better thing that happened on the week that
we're doing this
podcast. It was actually
wow. It's little things that can kind of keep us caught up in thinking of this lady reaching out to you. She might have held on to something that was said, not in fun or jest, that I can think of a thing for me that really impacted me, and I held on to it as a limiting belief for years.
I know.
Okay? One comment from a friend.
Right. So, but here's the other side of that, where, on my end of that, because it kind of bothered me a little bit,
Sure.
what I mean? And it was like, but then I thought to myself, okay, Matt, you need to go back and listen to yourself here, and you know what you're doing now, and you know what you've been doing for years and years and years and years and years, you know what I mean? And if that's the way you were, you're certainly not like that anymore, and it's okay, you know what I mean? And thank God, and I'm glad that she reached out, and I'm glad that she said something, and I hope that she took my apology, for real.
Awesome. Beautiful. Anyway. Thanks for sharing that story.
Well, I mean, it fits so perfectly.
We all have one as part of our story. Talking about stories.
Okay, well, there we go.
We all have many.
Yeah. So when we talk about rewriting the script, think of your inner monologue as kind of your screenplay. Some of it's Oscar worthy, but let's be honest, some of it is pure B movie material. Like, apparently what happened to me a long time ago, not something that's Oscar worthy. I'm not so proud of that. And that's okay. No awards for that. You often get caught in those loops, and we talk about this a lot. How about I'm not ready to do something, or this is just who I am, and I can't go in a different direction, or I can't change, or I can't, morph a little bit, I'll never be as good as them, doing that comparison between you and other people. Yeah, those, remember, it's we like to consider, and we're going to kind of talk about today, is bad writing. That is bad writing. You don't want to go down that path. It's cliche, it's flat, and it's time for a genre switch in your own mind. And if your life feels like a tragedy to you, you need to flip that switch, flip it into the comeback story that you can actually have. And it gives me a little bit of the chills just thinking about that. If you've been stuck in the shadows, flip it to a hero's rise to center stage. If your character's arc's been stalled out, then it's time for a mid-season twist. I love the script analogy. It's so cool. Mm-hmm. So, here's a tool that works every single time. Pick one belief that you've been carrying that limits you, just one, and ask yourself, who gave me this line? Was it something you gave yourself? Was it forced upon you? Was it just something, was it that expectation that we were talking about? Another question to ask yourself is, what would the main character version of me say instead? So if you're really trying to think about what you want to do and put you in charge and you be the script writer of your story, what would you say in that situation instead of what might have happened, or maybe you're projecting a little bit down the line of what you might say in an interview or what you might be saying to a meeting or a group or whatever. Rethink that in a different way, because we know what you are the author, and then rewrite it. You can do that out loud. You can do that on a piece of paper. You can do it in a voice memo. But it's important to kind of get it out of your head some way to where it's out there in the universe, and you've actually said it. Because repetition isn't the only path to transformation. Revision can also be a part of that path. So you don't have to change your whole life overnight, right? You just have to revise the scene we're in right now, because this is where we are, right? That's how a new story really can start beginning.
God, such powerful stuff. I absolutely love what we're talking about today, because everyone I think can relate to this. It's so amazing. And when we turn it into thinking of it as a story and you do have control, maybe it motivates you to not be in the victim mode,
Right.
Not believe that everything always happens to you. Take charge, right? So what does it mean to really own that main character energy? It means showing up with one of my favorite words, intention. Intention. It means not waiting for permission to take up the space, right? It means remembering that the plot doesn't move forward until you do. Again, taking responsibility and going all in on the trajectory that you want to take. So let's break it down into 3 things you can start practicing today. Number 1, dress the part. Now, this isn't about fashion. It's about frequency. Everything is about frequency and vibration. So how do you feel when you walk into a room? Are you in your body? Are you embodied? Are you grounded in your presence? Because that'll resonate throughout the entire room. Number 2, speak like you matter, because you do. Your words shape your world. So own your words. It's funny. I had something happen over the weekend when I was working with my AI Echo. I had a whole conversation about becoming super aware of the words that I'm choosing to use. And we just kind of had this whole conversation, because words are powerful, right? And so, own them, and speak like you matter. And number 3, walk in like the plot just thickened, because when you show up with clarity and this confidence, that's what we're talking about here, the whole energy shifts. So this isn't about faking it, though. It's about aligning with your truth. You're already the lead character. You just forgot for a minute.
I love it.
I know, right? So, Okay, so every great story includes allies, mentors, and yes, the bad guys, the antagonist, right? So, because you're not meant to go it alone. How boring would it be if we weren't on this journey and we didn't have all these characters along in our story, right? So take inventory. Who's helping you grow? Who's helped you grow in the past? But also, who's dimming your light? Who's really trying to hold you down? And I believe those people come into your life, those antagonists. So that is where I think the biggest growth happens. The story you just told is interesting, that it comes back 45 years full circle, because somebody sees you and you're like, you've grown, or from her perspective, you're like, you're not that guy, but it's interesting that comes up, right? But think about it. There's always someone that's around you that's trying to say you really can't do it. It's like the 2 people on your shoulder, right? Oh, you've got this, or no, you don't, right? Who might need to exit this chapter so you can rise in the next. And I have found, as I have go down this path of kind of waking up and getting into alignment myself and not needing to be a people pleaser like I have been most of my life, people naturally just drift away. Okay, it doesn't have to be bad endings with people in your life that no longer. You'll just not be hanging around people who maybe used to be that way, and you'll attract people into your life that are supporting you in where you are now. It's very easy to see. It's interesting, right? Yeah. So let's talk about some plot twists, because they're not just likely, they're inevitable, right? We've all can talk about our plot twists before us. There's going to be more moving forward. So life is going to throw you off script. That's not failure. These are just turning points, right? And no one explains this better than Joseph Campbell, the mythologist behind the hero's journey. The hero's journey is pretty much every story that's out there, books, movies, follows the hero's journey, right? It's even in the tarot cards. It's everywhere. The hero's journey is simply this, right? The hero gets a call to adventures. Think about this for yourself, your own life story, to pick your favorite book or movie. Something that disrupts the status quo. So that hero gets that call to adventure. They resist it first. That's all that stuff coming up, right? This is not me. I can't be the one who's supposed to go on this journey. I'm thinking of The Hobbit right now. It's interesting. That's the story that popped into my head. They face trials, endure setbacks. So if you're just following that movie, you're like, oh my gosh, the just craziness of it all.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they return transformed. Maybe that plot twist in your life, the one that you didn't see coming, maybe that's your call to action. And maybe the people who show up now, your allies, your guides, are exactly what you need to grow. So if things are messy right now, good, right? That's exactly how every great story gets interesting.
That's so true, because you have more power than you think, not by force, but by perspective and by intention, and our new favorite word, by clarity. So here's your call to action this week. You can do this as a journal prompt. You can say this out loud. You can speak it, write it, record it. What does the next act of your life look like if you step fully into that role? So let me repeat that in this one tense instead of three tenses. What does the next act look like if I fully step into the lead role? Mm-hmm. Because I'm telling you, so many of us don't see ourselves as the lead in our own story. And that's a little bit crazy to think about, but it is so true, and you really are. So let's ask that question one more time. What does the next act look like if I fully step into the lead role? I think that's really cool. Oh, and if you're feeling bold when you ask that question, you know what the answer is on that question, send it to us. We'd love to hear your vision, your rewrite, whatever your next chapter is going to be.
So the truth is, life isn't happening to you, it's unfolding through you. So pick up the pen, step into that scene, say the line like you mean it.
Yeah, boy, isn't that the truth?
Because, you're not just the main character, you're also the director, the screenwriter, the producer, the soul behind the whole story.
That's so awesome. It is true, because you kind of are the one-man show there. I hope that, this was a quick podcast, but I hope that what we talked about today resonated with you in some sort of way, because it's obviously resonated with us. Yeah, and me. It really resonated with me this week. I'm telling you, timing couldn't have been better. So thanks for tuning in. This has been episode 371. You can find those show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. So go over there and check that out. And also, we just want to talk about our Clarity series one more time. Module 2 just dropped last Friday. Module 2 is called Aligned in the Everyday. It's got morning breath work and meditation, things that you can do for midday resets, like Jan was saying earlier. And then we have an evening reflection as well. So it covers you throughout your entire day. They're short and sweet, so it's not like you have to spend an hour and a half doing these things. The morning ones are even a little shorter than Module 1. They're probably about 4 or 5 minutes long. And then we have 3-minute, 4-minute, midday resets. And then the evening reflection is pretty short as well, but it gets you thinking. And I love that evening reset. I like the video on the evening reset, but I don't really recommend you putting blue light in your face before you go to bed. So maybe that might not be the best thing, but there's just some great final words that you can say to yourself at the end of the day to be motivating and to help you fall asleep, because you're just
going to help you get some clarity around what we talked about today, right? This is, maybe we're giving you a little nudge. You maybe need something simple. It's very affordable. It's only $33, and you're going to get all 3 of them. We'll start working on the next one soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we are going to do that. Absolutely. So until next time, reframe, rewrite, rise, and be forever wandering, but not lost.
Alliteration, Matt.